I gave my son Michael everything. Absolutely everything. But the day my daughter-in-law Amanda showed up with suitcases at my apartment door, telling me she was coming to live with me because she had sold her house, my only response was, "What do you mean? He did not tell you? I changed all the locks yesterday, and Michael does not live here anymore." You should have seen her face. The suitcases fell from her hands. Her daughter, Sophia, just froze. And I, for the first time in years, felt like I was getting my dignity back. But let me tell you how I got to that moment, because this story did not start there. It started 30 years ago, when I was widowed at 36, with an 8-year-old boy who depended completely on me. My husband died in a traffic accident. There was no insurance. There was no pension. It was just Michael and me, and a huge debt from the funeral that I paid for by selling my jewelry, the good living room furniture, and even the car we had worked so hard to buy. From that day on, my life was work. I worked in a clothing factory during the day. I cleaned offices at night. On weekends, I sold tamales that I started preparing at 4 in the morning. Everything so Michael could have what I never had. An education, decent clothes, new shoes every school year. While other mothers went to beauty salons or bought themselves dresses, I wore the same clothes for years. My only luxury was seeing my son happy. Michael was a good student, smart, dedicated, affectionate. When he finished high school, he wanted to study engineering at a private university. The tuition cost $8,000 a year. $8,000 I did not have, but I got a loan. I pawned everything I had of value. I asked for advances at work, and I did it. My son got into that university. During those 4 years, I lived on the bare minimum. I ate rice and beans almost every day. I did not buy clothes. I did not go to the doctor even when my knees ached from scrubbing so many floors. Every penny I earned went straight to Michael's tuition, his books, his transportation, his food at the university. He never knew how much I sacrificed. I never told him, because that is what mothers do, right? We give everything without expecting anything in return. Michael graduated with honors. He got a good job at a tech company. I was so proud. Finally, after so many years of struggle, my son would have a better life. And for the first few years, everything was beautiful. Michael visited me every week. He gave me money to help out. He took me to dinner. He was the son I had always dreamed of having. Then he met Amanda. She worked at the same company, in the human resources department. From the first day I saw her, I knew something was not right. The way she looked at me, up and down, as if I were trash on the street. The way she interrupted when I was talking to Michael. How she sighed with impatience every time I told a story. But my son was in love, blindly in love. So I kept quiet. I swallowed my discomfort. I smiled when she made passive-aggressive comments about my small apartment, about my old clothes, about my small-town accent, because I thought that, in time, she would accept me, that she would see me as an ally, as a second mother. How naive I was. Amanda had a daughter from a previous marriage, Sophia, a 6-year-old girl at the time, sweet, shy, scared. The biological father had disappeared, and the girl carried that abandonment in her eyes. When Michael and Amanda got married, my son legally adopted Sophia. I was happy. I thought I would have a granddaughter to love. But Amanda did not want me to be part of their lives. From the beginning, she set rules. I could not visit without giving 2 days' notice. I could not call Michael after 9 o'clock at night. I could not have an opinion on how they raised Sophia. And if I protested, Amanda would cry and tell Michael I was a meddling, controlling, toxic mother-in-law. My son always took her side. Always. "Mom, you have to understand. Amanda is stressed with work and the kid. Give her time. You will see. Everything will get better." But it never got better. It only got worse. The visits became more and more spaced out. From every week, they went to every 2 weeks. Then once a month. Then every 2 months. And when I finally went to their house, Amanda treated me like a servant. "Margaret, can you wash these dishes? Margaret, can you iron these clothes? Margaret, can you stay with Sophia while we go to the movies?" And I did it all. Everything. Because that way I could see my son. That way I could be near my family. One day, 3 years ago, I went to visit without calling first. It was Michael's birthday, and I wanted to surprise him with his favorite cake that I had baked early that morning. I knocked on the door. Amanda opened it, and the expression on her face was pure contempt. "What are you doing here, Margaret?" Her voice was ice cutting through glass. "It is Michael's birthday," I said, showing her the cake. "I wanted to wish him a happy birthday." Amanda laughed. A cold, calculated, cruel laugh. "Margaret, Michael is busy. We have important guests from his work. We cannot have—" She stopped, looking me up and down. "We cannot have awkward situations." Awkward situations. That is what I was to her. An embarrassment, a burden, something to be hidden. "Can I at least say hello?" My voice broke. Amanda sighed with that dramatic flair she loved so much. "Wait here." She closed the door in my face. I was left standing in the apartment hallway, holding that cake I had made with so much love, feeling smaller than ever. Michael came out 5 minutes later. He did not even invite me in. "Mom, thanks for the cake, but Amanda is right. Today is not a good day. I have people from work inside, and—" He did not finish the sentence. He did not have to. I saw in his eyes that he was ashamed of me, of his own mother. That night I cried myself to sleep, and for the first time in my life, I wondered if it had been worth it. If all those years of sacrifice, of pain, of loneliness had served any purpose, or if I had simply raised a man who learned to despise where he came from. But the worst was yet to come. After that humiliation on his birthday, things changed forever between us. Michael stopped visiting me completely. The phone calls were reduced to short text messages. "Hi, Mom. Everything is fine. I am busy. Talk later." But that later never came. And I would stare at the phone for hours, waiting for a call that never came. Amanda, meanwhile, made sure to poison every little space that was left between my son and me. I found out later, from one of Michael's cousins, that Amanda told him horrible things about me, that I was manipulative, that I faked being sick to get his attention, that I only wanted his money, that I had never been a good mother, and that was why his father had died so young, from the stress of living with me. Every lie was a stab in the back, but the worst part was that Michael believed her. My own son, the child I carried in my womb, whom I breastfed, whom I raised alone through tears and sacrifices, preferred to believe her over me. When I tried to defend myself, when I tried to explain my side, he would cut the conversation short. "Mom, I am not going to argue about this with you. Amanda is my wife. Period. Period." As if 30 years of love could be erased with 2 words. The months passed, and I kept working, even though I was already 63 years old and my body was screaming in exhaustion. I had developed arthritis in my hands from so much cleaning. My knees creaked every time I climbed stairs. The doctors told me I needed to rest, but how could I rest if I barely had enough to pay the rent and buy food? I lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment in a modest neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Well, technically it was rented, but I had been there for 15 years, and it felt like home. The walls had pictures of Michael at every stage of his life. His first day of school, his high school graduation, his college diploma. Every photograph was a reminder that my life had had a purpose. But Amanda took even that away from me. One day, when I went to visit them after months of begging Michael to let me see Sophia, Amanda greeted me with that fake smile she practiced so much. "Come in, Margaret, but only for an hour. Sophia has homework." I entered the house and almost had a heart attack. They had remodeled everything. New furniture, a huge television, a luxury kitchen. Everything shined as if they lived in a design magazine. It turned out beautiful, did not it? Amanda paraded through the living room like a queen in her palace. Michael gave me permission to redo everything. It cost $45,000, but it was worth every penny. You have to treat yourself in life, Margaret, though I suppose you would not know about that. The way she said it, with that mix of pity and contempt, as if I were some poor, ignorant woman who had never known anything good. I swallowed the humiliation. Again, always swallowing everything. "It looks very nice," I murmured. Amanda leaned in and lowered her voice as if sharing a secret. Between you and me, Margaret, I am seriously thinking about convincing Michael to buy a bigger house. This apartment is just too small for us now. We need a real house, with a yard, with space for Sophia to grow up in a proper environment. Proper? That word again. As if everything I represented was improper. As if my very existence was a mistake that needed to be corrected. Sophia appeared at that moment. She was 9 years old by then, a pretty girl, with big, sad eyes. "Hi, Grandma Margaret," she said timidly. My heart melted. I tried to hug her, but Amanda intervened immediately. "Sophia, say hello quickly and go to your room to finish your homework. You know I do not like you getting distracted." The girl obeyed like a frightened little soldier. I saw in her eyes the same fear I felt every time I was near Amanda. That woman had not only taken my son, she was raising that child with terror and control. When Michael got home from work that evening, he barely greeted me. He was glued to his phone, checking emails, completely absent. Amanda served him dinner as if I did not exist. She set only 2 plates on the table. 2. "Margaret, you already ate before you came, right?" Her tone made it clear it was not a question. It was an order. A way of telling me I was not even welcome to share their table. Yes, I already ate. I lied. I was hungry, very hungry. But my pride would not let me stay there, begging for a place at my own son's table. I left that house feeling that something inside me had definitively broken. I cried the whole way back on the bus. An elderly woman sitting next to me offered me a tissue. "Are you okay, honey?" I could not answer her. I just nodded and kept crying. That night, alone in my apartment, I looked at myself in the mirror. I saw a 63-year-old woman with deep wrinkles, hands deformed by work, eyes tired from crying so much. And I wondered when I had stopped being Margaret, the strong woman who raised her son alone, and become Margaret, the burdensome mother-in-law that nobody wanted around. 2 weeks later, I received a call that would change everything. It was a lawyer. "Mrs. Margaret Miller? I am calling from the law firm of Hernandez and Associates. We need to talk about your Aunt Beatrice's inheritance." My Aunt Beatrice had died 2 months earlier. I had gone to the funeral, but since she lived in another city and we barely saw each other, I did not expect anything from her will. "Your aunt left you an apartment in the downtown area of the city," the lawyer said, "and there is also a bank account with $120,000 in savings. We need you to come in and sign the papers for the transfer." I hung up the phone, unable to believe what I had just heard. $120,000. An apartment. After an entire life of poverty, of sacrifice, of counting every coin, the universe was finally giving me a break. But I did not tell anyone. Something inside me warned me to keep this a secret, especially from Amanda, especially from Michael, who now seemed to be just an extension of his wife. I went to the lawyer's office the next day. I signed all the papers. The apartment was beautiful. 2 bedrooms, in a building with security, in a quiet residential area. It was easily worth $200,000. And the money. That $120,000 represented my freedom. For the first time in decades, I would not have to worry about paying rent. I could stop working, cleaning offices. I could go to the doctor when my knees hurt. I could live with dignity. But something else grew inside me in those days. An idea. A plan. Because while I was signing those inheritance papers, I received a text from Michael. "Mom, Amanda and I need to talk to you. Come on Saturday at 3. It was not an invitation. It was a summons. As if I were an employee being called into a meeting. On Saturday, I arrived right on time. Amanda opened the door with that smile I knew so well. Fake. Calculated. Poisonous. "Come in. Margaret. Sit down. We have some important news." Michael was on the sofa, avoiding my gaze. Coward. My son had become a coward. Amanda sat next to him and took his hand. That gesture. So territorial. So possessive. "Margaret, we have made a decision. We are going to sell this apartment and buy a house. A big house, with a yard, in the suburbs. A proper place to raise Sophia." I nodded. I did not understand why they were telling me this. It was none of my business where they lived. Then Amanda dropped the bomb. "And since you are going to be all alone in that old apartment you rent, we thought it would be a good idea for you to move in with us." The words fell like stones. Move in with them, to their new house, under their total control. Move in with them. The idea hit me like a bucket of ice water. Amanda continued talking in that sweet voice she used when she wanted to manipulate. "Of course, you would have your own room, small but comfortable. And you could help us with Sophia, with the house, with the cooking. You know, like a grandmother should be. Besides, that way you would save the rent money. At your age, Margaret, you should not be working so much anymore. You should be resting, helping your family. Helping your family. What a nice way of saying being our free servant." I looked at Michael, waiting for him to say something, to defend me, to at least ask me what I thought. But he kept staring at the floor like a scolded child. My son was gone. In his place was a man with no backbone. "I do not need to move in with you," I said with all the calm I could muster. "I am fine where I am." Amanda frowned. That mask of sweetness began to crack. "Margaret, do not be stubborn. We are trying to help you. Or do you have so much money that you can afford to refuse our generosity?" Generosity. She called turning me into her unpaid maid generosity. I felt the rage rise in my throat, but I held it back, because in that moment, I remembered what the lawyer had told me. The apartment, the money, my freedom, and something more important, my power. For the first time in years, I had the power. "Thanks for the offer, but no. I am staying in my apartment," I repeated. Michael finally spoke. His voice sounded tired, irritated. "Mom, Amanda is right. You are not fit to live alone anymore. What if you get sick? What if you fall? You need to be near us. Near them. So they could control me. So Amanda could finish destroying what little dignity I had left. I am 63 years old, Michael, not 80. I can take care of myself perfectly well." Amanda stood up from the sofa. She was not smiling anymore. Her true face appeared. Cold, hard, cruel. "Listen to me closely, Margaret. I know you barely make enough to live. I know that apartment where you live is a dump. I know you eat rice and beans because you cannot afford anything else. So stop acting proud and accept that you need our help." Every word was a lash. But what Amanda did not know, what neither of them knew, was that I was no longer the poor, desperate Margaret they thought they knew. I had options now. I had an ace up my sleeve. And I decided to keep it there. I let them keep thinking I was weak. "I will think about it," I lied. Amanda smiled victoriously. Michael nodded, as if he had solved an annoying problem. I left there with a broken heart but a clear mind. That night, alone in my apartment, I made the most important decision of my life. I was not going to move in with them, ever. And more than that, I was going to show them that Margaret Miller was not the weak woman they believed her to be. The following months were of silent preparation. I hired Raphael, a lawyer specializing in family law. I told him my whole story. I showed him Amanda's messages, the recordings of conversations where she insulted me. Because yes, I had started recording every time I was with her. Every venomous comment, every humiliation, every slight, everything was recorded. Raphael listened to everything with professional attention. "Mrs. Miller, you have a solid case of psychological abuse. But I need to ask you something important. What do you really want? Revenge or justice?" I thought about his question for days. I did not want revenge. I wanted respect. I wanted my son to open his eyes. I wanted Amanda to know she could not keep trampling on people without consequences. "I want justice," I finally answered him. "And I want my son to wake up from this nightmare he is living in." Raphael nodded. "Then we have work to do." He helped me organize everything. I transferred the inherited apartment into Michael's name, but with a legal clause that Raphael drafted. If Michael allowed Amanda to live in that apartment, he would automatically lose the property, and it would revert to me. It was a perfect trap. I also opened a new bank account where I deposited the $120,000. I invested $50,000 in a fund that would give me monthly returns. With that, I could live comfortably without working. I kept the other $70,000 for emergencies and for whatever came next. For the first time in my life, I felt financially secure. But the most important thing was something I did one Thursday afternoon. I went to a department store and bought myself new clothes. Nothing extravagant, but nice clothes, good quality. A wine-colored dress that made me look elegant. Comfortable but pretty shoes. I went to a hair salon and got my hair cut. They dyed it to cover the gray. They did my makeup. When I saw myself in the mirror, I did not recognize the woman looking back at me. It was me, but different. Stronger, more confident, with a sparkle in my eyes I had not seen in years. The stylist smiled at me. "You look beautiful, ma'am." Radiant. And for the first time in a long time, I believed her. I felt beautiful. I felt powerful. Meanwhile, Amanda kept calling me every week. "Margaret, have you decided about the move? We need your answer because we already put the apartment up for sale." I just responded with evasions. "I am still thinking about it." "Amanda, give me more time." And she, impatient as always, pushed harder. "We do not have all the time in the world. The house we want to buy is not going to wait for us forever." What Amanda did not know was that I was waiting for the perfect moment. The moment when she would show her true colors completely. And that moment came 2 months later. Michael called me, which was unusual because he almost never did anymore. "Mom, I have some news. Amanda is pregnant. We are going to have a baby." A baby. They were going to bring another life into that toxic marriage. I felt a mix of joy and terror. Joy because I would be a biological grandmother for the first time. Terror because that baby would grow up under Amanda's control. "Congratulations, son," I managed to say. "I am very happy for you." "Thanks, Mom. And listen, this makes it even more important that you come live with us. Amanda is going to need help with the pregnancy, with Sophia, and then with the baby. It is the perfect time for us to all be together as a family." As a family. How ironic that he used that word now, when for months they had treated me like a stranger. "Michael, I really appreciate the offer, but I already told you I cannot move in with you." There was a long silence. Then his voice changed. It became cold, distant. "Mom, Amanda says that if you do not come live with us, it is because you do not care about us. That you only think about yourself. That you have never been a good mother, and now you are proving it again." Every word was a knife. My own son, repeating his wife's lies as if they were absolute truths. "Michael, that is not true, and you know it." "I do not know. Because from my perspective, Mom, Amanda is right. You have always been selfish. I gave you everything. We included you in our family. And you just despise us." I was speechless. He gave me everything? He, the son I had supported for years, whose university I paid for by selling my soul, was telling me that he gave me everything? The irony was so thick I almost laughed. Almost. "Michael, I think you need to remember who sacrificed what in this relationship. There you go again, bringing up the past. Always the same thing. I raised you alone. I paid for your university. I sacrificed everything. You know what, Mom? I am tired. Tired of your victimhood. Tired of you using your sacrifice as an emotional weapon. You did what you had to do as a mother. Period. It does not make you special." He hung up. My son hung up the phone on me. I sat there on the sofa, phone in hand, feeling the world crumble around me. But then, something changed inside me. The sadness transformed into determination. The wound turned to steel. If Michael wanted a war, he would get a war. But not in the way he expected. After that call with Michael, I spent 3 days without sleeping well. I tossed and turned in bed, replaying every word he had said to me. "It does not make you special." That phrase ate at me. 30 years of my life dedicated to him, and to my son, I was nothing special. Just a mother who did what she had to do. As if raising a child alone, with no money, no support, was something easy that anyone could do. But the pain eventually transformed into clarity. And with clarity came the plan. I called Raphael. "I need to move everything up. I cannot wait any longer." He understood immediately. "What happened?" I told him about the call, about Amanda's pregnancy, about the constant pressure to move in with them. Raphael listened in silence, and then said something I will never forget. "Mrs. Miller, you have spent your whole life being the good woman, the sacrificial mother, the one who puts up with everything. But the time has come to be the strong woman you always were, but never allowed yourself to be. He was right. My whole life I had swallowed humiliations because I believed that was how you showed love. But love without respect is not love. It is abuse disguised as family. And I was tired of being the victim in my own story. Raphael prepared all the documents. The deed to the apartment in Michael's name with the restrictive clause. The bank contracts. The proof of psychological abuse. Everything was ready. All that was missing was the right moment. That moment came 3 weeks later. Amanda called me on a Tuesday morning. Her voice sounded different, urgent, almost desperate. "Margaret, I need to see you today. It is important. Come at 2 in the afternoon." She did not give me the option to refuse. She hung up before I could answer. Something was happening. I felt it in my bones. I arrived at her apartment at 2 o'clock sharp. Amanda opened the door, and for the first time, I saw her without makeup, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt. She looked tired. "Human, come in," she said without meeting my eyes. I entered cautiously. Michael was not there. Sophia was not there either. We were alone. Amanda collapsed onto the sofa and sighed deeply. "Margaret, I am going to be direct. We sold the apartment. We closed the deal yesterday. We have to be out in 2 weeks." I nodded. I already knew. Michael had mentioned it in a text days ago. "And the house you were going to buy?" I asked, though I already sensed the answer from her expression. The deal fell through. The owner decided not to sell. And all the other options we saw are out of our budget, or we do not get approved for the mortgage because... She stopped, took a deep breath. "Because we have a lot of debt. The remodel we did here cost more than planned. The credit cards are maxed out. And with the baby on the way, the banks do not want to take the risk." There it was. The truth Amanda had been hiding behind her facade of a perfect life. They were broke. All that beautiful house, that expensive furniture, those brand-name clothes. It was all a lie held together with debt. "I am very sorry," I said, without really meaning it. Amanda looked at me with an expression I had never seen on her. Vulnerability. Fear. "That is why I need you to agree to move in with us." "Well, technically, we need to move in with you. To your apartment." The words hung in the air like toxic smoke. They wanted to move into my apartment, into my space. The 3 of them, plus Sophia, plus the baby on the way. 5 people in a 2-bedroom apartment that I rented. And, of course, I would keep paying the rent while they took advantage of my roof. "Amanda, my apartment is very small. We would not all fit." She leaned forward, clasping her hands as if she were praying. "It is temporary. Margaret, just while we get back on our feet financially. 6 months, maybe a year. Michael is going to ask for a raise at his job. I am going to look for freelance projects after the baby is born. We are going to get through this. But right now, in this moment, we need you. We need you. After months of contempt, of humiliation, of treating me like garbage, now they needed me." The irony was delicious, but I kept my expression neutral. "Let me think about it," I said. Amanda shot up, with that desperate energy of someone who is drowning. "There is nothing to think about, Margaret. We are family. Family helps each other. Or are you going to let your son, your pregnant daughter-in-law, and your granddaughters end up on the street?" There it was. The emotional manipulation. The blackmail disguised as a family appeal. "Amanda, I told you I will think about it. I need to evaluate my financial situation too." She narrowed her eyes. "Your financial situation? Margaret, please. We both know you barely have enough to survive. You have nothing. We at least have jobs, income. We will pay our share. How much?" The question took her by surprise. "What? How much are you going to pay in rent?" "The apartment costs me $600 a month. If you move in with me, I expect you to pay at least half." Amanda laughed, a nervous, uncomfortable laugh. "Margaret, do not be ridiculous. We will contribute to the food, the utilities. But paying rent when we are family is absurd. Absurd. It was absurd for them to pay to live under my roof, But it was not absurd for me to support them. I did not say anything else. I simply stood up. I will let you know my decision in a few days. Amanda grabbed my arm as I tried to walk to the door. Her grip was strong, desperate. Margaret, please, do not make me beg. I know we have not had the best relationship, but this is for Michael, for your granddaughters, for the baby on the way. I pulled my arm free with more force than she expected. Amanda, using children as emotional blackmail is in poor taste. I will give you my answer when I am ready. I walked out of that apartment feeling strangely powerful. For the first time in years, I was in control. They needed me. Not the other way around. That night, Michael called me. He was furious. Mom, Amanda told me you were rude to her, that you refused to help us. What is wrong with you? Since when are you so selfish? Selfish. That word again. Michael, I did not refuse anything. I just asked for time to think. And besides, I asked how much you planned to pay in rent if you moved in with me. Pay you? You are going to charge your own son rent? His indignation was so great I could almost see him through the phone. Red with rage. Michael, I pay rent every month. If you live with me, it is only fair that you contribute. I am not in a position to support 4 additional people for free. You are unbelievable, Mom, really. After everything I have done for you, all the times I invited you to our house, included you in our lives, put up with your drama and your complaints. And now that I need you, you turn your back on me. Everything he had done for me. The times he invited me to his house so Amanda could treat me like a servant. The times he included me in his life only when it was convenient for him. His imaginary sacrifices while I broke my back paying for his college. Michael, let me ask you something. How much did your university cost? Silence. What does that have to do with this? Answer me. How much did it cost? I heard his agitated breathing. I do not know. I never asked. You said you would take care of it. $32,000. That is what your entire degree cost. Do you know how I got that money? By working 3 jobs simultaneously for 4 years. Without rest, without vacations, without buying anything for myself. Every penny I earned went to you. And when you graduated, when you started earning good money, do you know how much you paid me back? Nothing. Because I never asked you for anything. Because that is a mother's job, right? To give without expecting anything. You are starting with that again. Always bringing up the past. It is not the past, Michael. It is context. It is reminding you that I never charged you for being your mother. I never asked you to pay me back for the investment I made in you. But now you have the nerve to call me selfish because I am asking you to contribute financially if you want to live under my roof. Do you see the hypocrisy? Michael was quiet for a few seconds. Then his voice came out cold, cutting. You know what, Mom? Forget it. We do not need your charity. We will figure this out ourselves. Like always. Without your help. And he hung up. Again. My son had a habit of hanging up on me when he had no arguments. When the truth made him uncomfortable. I sat on my sofa and smiled. A sad smile, but a liberating one, because I had just realized something. I no longer needed Michael's approval. I no longer needed to be the perfect mother who sacrifices herself eternally. I could just be Margaret, a 63-year-old woman who deserved respect. The following days were filled with absolute silence. Michael did not call. Amanda did not call. It was as if they had erased me from their lives for not submitting to their demands. And for the first time, that silence did not hurt me. It liberated me. I used that time to do things I had not done in years. I went to the movies by myself on a Wednesday afternoon. I saw a romantic movie and cried without shame. I walked through the park. I sat on a bench and just watched people go by. I bought a chocolate ice cream. Small things that seemed insignificant, but that reminded me that I was still a person, not just a mother. I also visited my new inherited apartment, the one Michael did not know existed. It was beautiful, bright, with big windows that let in the morning Sunday. I imagined myself living there, drinking coffee on the terrace, reading books I never had time to read, being happy, truly happy. Raphael had done an impeccable job with the paperwork. Everything was legal, registered, protected. That apartment was officially Michael's, but with the clause that protected him from Amanda. If he tried to let her live there, he would lose everything. It was my way of helping him without letting myself be destroyed in the process. A final lesson in love, but with boundaries, with dignity. 2 weeks after our last conversation, I received a text from Michael. "Mom, I need to see you. It is urgent, please." He did not mention Amanda. He did not mention the apartment or his money problems, just that simple plea. My first instinct was to ignore it, but something in the tone of the message made me hesitate. He sounded different, broken. We agreed to meet at a cafe near my apartment. I arrived first and watched him walk in 10 minutes later. I was shocked by his appearance. Michael had lost weight. He had deep, dark circles under his eyes. His clothes, always impeccable, were wrinkled. He looked like a man on the verge of collapse. He sat across from me without saying anything for several long seconds. Finally, he spoke. "Amanda left me." The words landed like a bomb. "What?" My voice came out louder than I intended. Michael ran his hands over his face. Exhausted. 3 days ago, she packed her things, took Sophia, and went to live with her mother. She says she is tired of being married to a failure, that the baby deserves a father who can support him, that I am just as useless as you are, just as useless as me. So in the end, Amanda had betrayed him too. She had used him until he was no longer useful and then discarded him like trash. Part of me wanted to say, "I told you so." I wanted to scream that I had warned him about that woman. But I saw the pain in my son's eyes, and I could not. Because despite everything, he was still my son. "I am so sorry, Michael." He laughed bitterly. "You are sorry? You should be happy. You always knew she was bad for me. You always knew, and I never listened to you." His eyes filled with tears. Seeing my son cry broke my heart. "You were right, Mom. About everything. Amanda used me. She manipulated me. She pushed me away from you so I would depend only on her. And when I had nothing left to give her, she abandoned me." "And the apartment?" I asked softly. Michael shook his head. "We sold it. The money is already gone paying off debts. We still owe $30,000 in credit card debt. Amanda took her most valuable things when she left. I was left with what was left over. I am living at a friend's house, sleeping on his sofa. I have nowhere to go." There it was. The full truth. My son, the successful engineer, the man who had called me selfish and a victim, was homeless, in debt, and emotionally destroyed. And he was coming to me, the mother he had despised, the woman he had called a burden. "Mom, I know I have no right to ask you for anything. I know I was a horrible son, that I treated you badly, that I let Amanda humiliate you, that I should have defended you and I never did. But I have no one else. Please." His voice broke completely on that last word. Please. The same words I had said to him so many times when I begged for a little of his time, a little of his love. Karma had come full circle. I took a deep breath. This was the moment where I could get my revenge, where I could tell him everything I had held back for years, where I could make him suffer as he had made me suffer. But I did not, because revenge and justice are different things, and I had chosen justice. "Michael, I have something to tell you, something you do not know." His gaze lifted, confused. I took a folder out of my bag. I put it on the table. My Aunt Beatrice died 4 months ago. She left me an inheritance, an apartment and money. I watched his eyes widen in surprise. "What? Why did you never tell me? Why?" I needed to protect myself, because I knew that if you and Amanda found out, you would find a way to take it from me. You would manipulate me into giving it to you. And I was right. Was not I? If I had told you months ago, Amanda would have planned how to take it all. Michael looked down, ashamed. He knew it was true. I opened the folder and took out the documents. "This apartment I inherited. I put it in your name." His head snapped up. "What? Why would you do that?" "Because you are my son. And despite everything, despite the pain you caused me, I never stopped loving you. But I did it with conditions, with boundaries. The apartment is yours, but there is a legal clause. If you let Amanda live there, If you give her the keys, if you let her inside for even one night, you lose the property automatically. It reverts to my name." Michael took the papers with trembling hands. He read every line. His tears fell onto the document. "Mom, I do not know what to say. Do not say anything yet. There is more." I took out another paper. "I also hired a lawyer. Raphael. He is going to help you with the divorce from Amanda. He is going to make sure she does not take anything more from you than she already has. And he is going to fight for you to maintain contact with Sophia, because that little girl loves you. And it is not her fault she has a manipulative mother. Why are you doing this? After how I treated you? Why?" His voice was a broken whisper. I looked him in the eyes. Those eyes I had watched grow since he was a baby. Because being a mother does not mean accepting abuse. But it also does not mean abandoning your child when he truly needs you. There is a difference between helping you and letting you destroy me, and I finally learned where that line is. Michael stood up from his chair and came around the table. He knelt in front of me and hugged my legs, crying like I had not seen him cry since he was a little boy. "Forgive me, Mom. Forgive me for everything, for being so blind, for hurting you, for not valuing you. Forgive me." I stroked his hair. "My baby, my son." So broken. "So sorry. I forgive you, Michael. But this is a new beginning, with new rules, with mutual respect. If you ever treat me like you treated me again, if you ever allow anyone to humiliate me again, I swear I will walk away for good. Never again. I promise you. Never again." I helped him stand up. We sat down again. I explained the whole plan to him, how I had been preparing this for months, how I had recorded the conversations with Amanda, how Raphael had proof of all the psychological abuse. "We are going to use all of this in the divorce. Amanda is going to pay for what she did. Not just to me, to you too." Michael listened in silence. At the end, he looked at me with a mixture of admiration and shame. "All this time I thought you were weak. That you were the victim mother Amanda said you were. But you were the strongest one of all of us." I smiled sadly. "I was not weak, son. I was patient. There is a difference. The weak break. The patient wait for the right moment." I gave him the keys to the apartment. "You can move in whenever you want. It is clean, furnished, ready. It is your home now. But there is one more condition besides Amanda." "What is it?" "I want you to go to therapy. You need to heal. You need to understand how you got to this point, how you let a woman drive you away from the person who truly loved you. Raphael knows some good therapists. I will pay for your sessions for 6 months. After that, you decide if you want to continue. I accept. I accept everything." We stayed in that cafe for 2 more hours. Michael told me things I never knew. How Amanda controlled him with threats of suicide if he did not do what she wanted. How she convinced him that I was toxic, manipulative, dangerous. How she checked his phone to make sure he was not texting me too much. It was worse than I had imagined. After that conversation in the cafe, my relationship with Michael began to rebuild, slowly. He moved into the apartment I had inherited. The first time he walked in, he just stood in the middle of the living room, looking at everything with tear-filled eyes. "It is beautiful, Mom. Too much for me." I put a hand on his shoulder. "You deserve it. But remember, it is only yours if you learn to value what really matters in life." The first few days were strange. Michael called me every night to tell me how his day had gone. Simple things, that he had cooked pasta, that he had watched a movie, that for the first time in years, he had slept without feeling that constant pressure in his chest. It was like he was rediscovering who he was without Amanda manipulating him. I listened to him with patience, with love, but also with clear boundaries. When he tried to justify some of the things he had done, I stopped him. "Michael, no. No excuses. Take responsibility." And he did. Little by little, Raphael began the divorce proceedings, and that is when things got really ugly. Because Amanda was not willing to let Michael go that easily. Not because she loved him, but because losing meant admitting she had failed, and Amanda hated to lose. The first divorce hearing was a circus. Amanda arrived in a cream-colored dress, perfect makeup, impeccable hair, acting like the abandoned pregnant wife. She cried in front of the judge. She said Michael had left her for no reason, that she had given everything for that marriage. Raphael was prepared. He presented the recordings, the messages, the proof of how Amanda had financially manipulated Michael to put him in debt, how she had sold the apartment without his full consent, emotionally pressuring him. Amanda's face changed when she heard her own voice in those recordings, insulting Michael, calling him useless, threatening to take Sophia away from him if he did not do what she wanted. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Mrs. Vega, are these your words?" she stammered. I was stressed. The pregnancy, the hormones. I did not mean it. Hormones do not justify psychological abuse, the judge replied firmly. Amanda looked at me from across the room, and in her eyes, I saw something I had never seen before. Fear. Fear that someone finally saw her for what she really was. An abuser, a manipulator, a liar. But Amanda was not stupid. She knew she was losing, so she changed her strategy. If she could not win by being the victim, she would try to destroy us by being the villain. 2 days after that hearing, Amanda created a Facebook account. She posted a picture of herself with her pregnant belly, crying. The text read, "It hurts me to share this, but I need you to know the truth. My husband abandoned me while I am pregnant. His mother, Margaret, a bitter and resentful woman, convinced him I was bad. She took my family from me. She left me homeless. All because she never accepted that her son chose me. Toxic mothers-in-law destroy marriages, and I am the proof." The post went viral in hours. Thousands of comments from women sympathizing with her. Mothers-in-law are the worst. Poor pregnant woman. I hope there is justice. Amanda had created an entire false narrative, and people believed her. Because who would not believe a pregnant, crying woman? Michael called me in a panic. "Mom, you have to see this. Amanda is telling horrible lies about you on social media. People are attacking you. They are sharing your picture, your information." I checked Facebook. Amanda had posted a picture of me, an old photo where I looked tired, disheveled. She had labeled it the mother-in-law who destroyed my marriage. The comments were vicious. What a bitter old woman. She is probably jealous because her son has his own life. These old women who cannot let go of their sons are a plague. Each comment was a stab, but it was also something else. Evidence. Evidence of defamation, of digital harassment, of an attempt to destroy my reputation. I called Raphael immediately. "You saw what Amanda did. I saw it. And it is exactly what we needed. She just made a serious legal mistake. We are talking public defamation, exposing private information without consent, incitement to harassment. We can sue her for this." I felt a mix of relief and fury. What do we do now? Now we wait. She is going to keep digging her own grave. People like Amanda do not know when to stop. Raphael was right. Amanda did not stop. The next day, she did a live broadcast. More than 2,000 people watched it. Sitting in her mother's living room, with Sophia by her side, Amanda told her version of the story. Michael was a good man until his mother poisoned him against me. She never accepted me. She treated me badly every time I went to visit. She insulted me. She told me I was not good enough for her son. And when I finally decided to walk away from that toxicity, she convinced Michael to leave me. The people in the comments supported her. "You are so strong. You are not alone. That mother-in-law is going to pay." Amanda cried in front of the camera. "A performance worthy of an award. I have no home. I have no money. I am 7 months pregnant, and my husband abandoned me to please his mother. If anyone can help me, please. I am accepting donations. I need to pay for a lawyer. I need to protect my daughters." Accepting donations. Amanda had turned her lie into a business. People were sending her money. Hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars from people who believed her false story. Michael was devastated. "Mom, this has gotten out of control. We have to do something. People hate us. They are threatening me in messages, saying I am a bad father, that I deserve the worst." "Calm down," I told him with a calm I did not feel. "Raphael has a plan. Trust me." The next day, Raphael posted a video on YouTube. He introduced himself as my lawyer and Michael's. With our permission, he shared snippets of the recordings where Amanda insulted, manipulated, and emotionally abused Michael. He shared financial documents that proved how Amanda had put Michael in debt without his knowledge. He shared text messages where Amanda threatened to take Sophia away if he did not obey. Mrs. Vega has created a completely false narrative, Raphael said to the camera. She has publicly defamed my client, Mrs. Margaret Miller, and her son, Michael. She has manipulated public empathy to obtain money through deceit. This is fraud, and we will proceed legally against her for defamation, fraud, and harassment. The video went viral faster than Amanda's posts. The comments changed radically. Another woman using pregnancy to manipulate. What a liar. The mother-in-law was the victim the whole time. Amanda panicked. She deleted her posts. She deleted the live broadcast. But it was too late. Everything had been captured, saved, documented. Raphael had taken screenshots of every comment, every donation, every lie. The following week, Amanda tried to change the narrative again. She posted a video crying, "I made a mistake. I was desperate. The pregnancy has me emotionally unstable. I apologize if I offended anyone. I just want peace for my daughters." But people did not believe her anymore. The comments were brutal. Now that she is caught, she comes out to apologize. Typical manipulator. Give back the money you scammed from people. Amanda had lost all her power. Her reputation was destroyed. The people who had supported her felt deceived and turned against her. Then Amanda did what manipulators do when they lose control. Attack with everything. She sued me, for parental alienation with Sophia, claiming that I had put ideas in Michael's head to alienate him from his stepdaughter. It was absurd, ridiculous. But Amanda was desperate. Raphael laughed when he received the notification. This is the best thing that could have happened to us. Now we have another chance to expose everything in court. With a judge, with witnesses, everything legally documented. The hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. During that time, Amanda tried to contact Michael multiple times. Texts, calls, emails, all saying the same thing. Please, drop the lawsuit. We can fix this between us. Think about Sophia. Think about the baby. But Michael, for the first time in years, stood firm. I am not falling for your manipulation again, Amanda. This gets resolved in court. I, meanwhile, prepared myself mentally. I knew that hearing would be difficult, that Amanda would try to destroy me in front of the judge, that she would say horrible things, but I also knew I had the truth on my side. And the truth, eventually, always wins. Raphael coached me. He taught me how to answer questions, how to stay calm, how not to fall for provocations. Amanda is going to try to make you angry. She is going to say things to make you lose control. Do not fall for it. Maintain your dignity. That is your best weapon. The night before the hearing, Michael came to my apartment. We drank tea in silence for several minutes. Finally, he spoke. "Mom, I want you to know something. Whatever happens tomorrow, I am on your side. For the first time in years, I am on the right side. And I am sorry. I am so sorry I failed you." I hugged him. "It does not matter anymore, son. What matters is now. It is the future." The day of the hearing dawned gray. Heavy clouds covered the sky, as if the universe knew something important was about to happen. I woke up early. I took a long shower and dressed with care. I chose a simple dark green dress, comfortable but elegant shoes, and pulled my hair back into a low bun. I wanted to look respectable, dignified, like the woman who had fought her whole life with honor. Michael picked me up at 8 in the morning. He was nervous. You could see it in how he drummed his fingers against the steering wheel while he drove. "Are you ready?" he asked when we stopped at a red light. I looked at him and smiled. I was born ready, son. I have faced worse things than a legal hearing. And it was true. I had faced widowhood, poverty, loneliness, the rejection of my own son. A courtroom did not scare me. We arrived at the courthouse half an hour early. Raphael was already there, impeccable in his gray suit, with his briefcase full of documents. He greeted us with that quiet confidence that only lawyers who know they are going to win have. Good morning. How are you feeling? Nervous, Michael admitted. Perfect, Raphael corrected. Nerves mean this matters to you, and that is good. Amanda arrived 15 minutes later. She was accompanied by her mother, a woman in her 70s with a bitter expression. Amanda was wearing a beige dress, loose to hide her 7-month pregnancy. No makeup, hair down and messy, a total performance. The suffering woman, the victim. When our eyes met in the hallway, I saw something in hers that surprised me. There was no arrogance, there was desperation. Amanda knew she was losing. Her lawyer was a young man, probably fresh out of college. He looked unsure, clearly not her first choice, but the only one she could afford after people demanded she return the donations she had raised with lies. The judge entered, and we all stood. She was a woman in her mid-50s, a serious expression, but not cruel. Judge Ramirez, according to the plaque on her desk. Good morning. We are here for the divorce case between Mr. Michael Miller and Mrs. Amanda Vega, with a countersuit from Mrs. Vega against Mrs. Margaret Miller for alleged parental alienation. Are you ready to proceed? Both lawyers nodded. The judge adjusted her glasses and opened the case file. Let us begin. Amanda's lawyer spoke first. His argument was weak. He said Amanda was a devoted mother who only wanted the best for her daughters. That the marriage had broken down because Margaret, the mother-in-law, had interfered constantly. That Margaret had manipulated Michael into leaving his pregnant wife. That this constituted parental alienation because it affected Sophia's emotional stability. Pure lies spoken with little conviction. When it was Raphael's turn, everything changed. He took out his laptop and projected the recordings onto the courtroom screen. Amanda's voice filled the space. You are useless, Michael. Just like your mother, you are both an embarrassment, and more. If you do not do what I say, I swear you will never see Sophia again. I will make sure she hates you, and more. Your mother is a ridiculous old woman who should just die already. She would be doing us all a favor. Every word was a hammer blow to Amanda's case. I watched her sink into her chair, pale. Her mother's mouth was hanging open in shock. She did not even know what her daughter was capable of. Raphael paused the audio. These recordings were made by Mr. Skrettel Miller during the last 2 years of his marriage. They are legal. They were made in places where he had a right to be. And they demonstrate a clear pattern of psychological and emotional abuse toward my client. Judge Ramirez looked at the documents with an increasingly serious expression. Continue, counselor. Raphael showed the text messages, the emails, the bank statements proving how Amanda had spent the money from the apartment sale on personal items without consulting Michael, how she had used credit cards in his name to buy designer clothes, jewelry, trips she took alone with her friends. This, Your Honor, is not a case of parental alienation. It is a case of economic, emotional, and psychological abuse. And when my client finally found the courage to defend himself, Mrs. Vega decided to destroy his reputation publicly, also defaming Mrs. Margaret Miller, who never did anything but love her son and try to protect him. Amanda's lawyer tried to object. Your Honor, my client was emotionally vulnerable. The pregnancy, the stress. Pregnancy is not a license to commit fraud, the judge interrupted with a firm voice. Do you have anything else to add? The lawyer swallowed. We have witnesses who can attest to Mrs. Vega's good character. Present them, the judge ordered. For the next hour, 3 of Amanda's friends testified. They all said the same thing, that Amanda was a good mother, that she loved Michael, that the mother-in-law was problematic. But when Raphael cross-examined them, it all fell apart. How many times did you visit Michael and Amanda's home? Raphael asked the first witness. Many times. How many times did you see Mrs. Margaret Miller there? The woman hesitated. Well, actually, I never saw her. Then how do you know she was problematic? Silence. Only from what Amanda told me. Exactly. You have no direct knowledge. You are just repeating what Mrs. Vega told you. The witness nodded, embarrassed. The same thing happened with the other 2. None had interacted with me. None had any real evidence. They just repeated the narrative Amanda had fed them. When Amanda's witnesses were done, Raphael called ours. First, Michael testified. With a shaky but firm voice, he told everything. How Amanda had isolated him from me. How she manipulated him with threats. How she controlled every aspect of his life. How she spent money without control and then blamed him for not earning enough. "Why did you not separate sooner?" the judge asked. Michael took a deep breath. "Because she convinced me that I was the problem, that without her, I was nothing, that my mother was toxic and she was my salvation. I was in an abusive relationship for years and did not see it until it was too late." Amanda jumped up. "That is a lie. You loved me. I saved you from your controlling mother." "Order." The judge banged the gavel. "Mrs. Vega, sit down, or I will have you removed from this courtroom." Amanda sat, trembling with rage. Then it was my turn to testify. I walked to the stand with my head held high. I swore to tell the truth, and I told it, all of it, without crying, without drama, just the facts. How I had raised Michael alone, how I had sacrificed everything for him, how Amanda had entered our lives and systematically erased me. "Did you ever try to alienate Michael from Amanda?" Amanda's lawyer asked on his cross-examination. "Never. I wanted my son to be happy. If Amanda made him happy, I would have gladly accepted her, but she did not. She destroyed him. And when I tried to talk to him, he no longer listened to me." "Do you have proof that you tried to maintain a good relationship with Amanda?" "I have years of messages where I ask her how she is, where I offer her help, where I try to connect. All ignored or answered with coldness." Raphael showed the messages. Pages and pages of me trying to build a bridge that Amanda constantly burned. "I did not want a war," I said, looking directly at Amanda. "I wanted a family, but you wanted control. And when you could not control me, you decided to eliminate me." Amanda looked away. She could not hold my gaze. A coward to the end. After 3 hours of testimony, Judge Ramirez retired to deliberate. We waited in the hallway. Michael paced back and forth. I sat, calm. I knew we had won. I could feel it. Half an hour later, the judge returned. We all filed back into the courtroom. The silence was dense, heavy. After reviewing all the evidence presented, I have reached the following conclusions, the judge began. First, the divorce between Mr. Michael Miller and Mrs. Amanda Vega is granted. Mr. Miller has no obligation to pay spousal support given the circumstances of abuse and financial manipulation that have been demonstrated. Custody of the minor, Sophia, will be shared, with primary residence at the father's home, given that Mrs. Vega has demonstrated unstable and manipulative behavior. Amanda turned pale. "No, you cannot take my daughter from me." Her mother had to hold her down to keep her from jumping up. The judge continued. Second, Mrs. Vega's countersuit against Mrs. Margaret Miller for parental alienation is dismissed for lack of evidence. Furthermore, I find that Mrs. Miller has been the victim of defamation and harassment by Mrs. Vega. Therefore, I order Mrs. Vega to publish a public apology on the same social media platforms where she defamed Mrs. Miller and to pay compensation of $15,000 for moral damages. $15,000. Amanda did not even have $500. This would destroy her financially. And she knew it. She began to cry. Not tears of sadness, tears of impotent rage. Finally, the judge continued. I order Mrs. Vega to return all donations received through deceit on her social media. Otherwise, she will face charges for fraud. This court is adjourned. The final gavel bang echoed in the room like a gunshot. I had won. We had won. Michael hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for not giving up on me. I could only smile. Raphael congratulated us. It was a perfect case. We had all the evidence. The truth always wins. We walked out of the courthouse into a sun that had finally broken through the clouds. It was symbolic. After years of darkness, there was finally light. The days after the hearing were strange. It was like waking up from a long nightmare and realizing you could finally breathe. Amanda partially complied with the judge's order. She posted an apology on Facebook, but it was cold, mechanical, clearly written by her lawyer. I regret any misunderstanding caused by my previous posts. I acknowledge that I acted impulsively. She did not even mention my name or admit the specific lies. But it did not matter. People already knew the truth. The comments on her post were brutal. Misunderstanding? No. Intentional lies. Give back the money you stole. Manipulator to the end. Amanda deactivated her account 3 days later. She could not stand the public scrutiny. Digital karma is relentless. As for the compensation money, Amanda had no way to pay it. Her mother put her house up as collateral for a loan. $15,000 that would take them years to pay back. I felt bad for the mother, but she had raised that viper. She bore some responsibility. When I received the first payment of $5,000, I donated it to a shelter for female victims of domestic violence. I did not need that money to live, and I felt it could help other women who were suffering what I had suffered. Raphael looked at me surprised when I told him, "Are you sure? It is your money. You earned it, I am sure." Vengeance is not about destroying others. It is about building something better with what you survived. Sophia, Michael's stepdaughter, was the sweetest surprise in this whole story. When the judge ruled for shared custody with primary residence at Michael's, the girl cried. But not from sadness, from relief. "I get to stay with you, Dad. For real?" That 12-year-old girl's voice was full of hope. Michael hugged her tight. "Yes, my love. Forever, if you want." Amanda, of course, tried to use Sophia as a weapon one last time. She filled her head with ideas that Michael did not really want her, that I had always rejected her, that her life would be miserable. But Sophia was smarter than Amanda thought. One afternoon, 2 weeks after moving in with Michael, the girl came to visit me. She knocked on my apartment door, and there she was, with her big, scared eyes. "Grandma Margaret, can I talk to you?" My heart melted. "Of course, my child. Come in." I made hot chocolate. We sat on the sofa. Sophia fidgeted with her hands, nervous. "I want to apologize." I was surprised. "Apologize for what?" "For all the times Mom treated you badly and I did not say anything. For not defending you. I was afraid that if I said something, she would get mad at me too." I took her hands in mine. "Sophia, you were a child. It was not your responsibility to defend anyone. The adults should have protected you. But I saw how she talked to you, how she treated you like a servant, and I was ashamed. Not of you, of her, of my mom." Those words, coming from a 12-year-old, showed a painful maturity. She had grown up too fast in a toxic environment. "Your mom has her own problems, Sophia, but that does not define you. You can choose to be different." She nodded, with tears in her eyes. "Can I call you Grandma, even though we are not related by blood?" I hugged her as tightly as I could. "You are already my granddaughter. From the day you entered this family, blood does not make a family. Love does." Sophia stayed crying in my arms for a long time, releasing years of pain. From that day on, Sophia came to visit me twice a week. We made cookies together. We watched movies. I taught her to knit. Simple things her mother never had time to do because she was too busy building her perfect image on social media. The girl blossomed. She started to smile more, to talk more, to be a kid again. Amanda had her baby in December. A boy. Michael showed me a picture Sophia had sent him. A beautiful baby, with big eyes. I felt a pang of sadness. That child would grow up with Amanda as a mother. Without a father present, he would repeat the cycle. But it was not my responsibility to save him. I had already saved what I could. Michael continued to go to therapy religiously, every week, sometimes twice a week when things got tough. He told me what he was learning, how he had normalized abuse, how he confused control with love, how he needed to learn to set healthy boundaries. My therapist says I probably sought out a controlling partner because I was subconsciously repeating patterns, he told me one afternoon over coffee. I do not understand. He says that because you sacrificed so much for me, I grew up feeling like I owed something, that I always had to please, and Amanda exploited that. She made me feel constantly indebted to her. It was an interesting theory. Painful. But maybe it made sense. "Do you think it is my fault then?" Michael shook his head immediately. "No, Mom. You did the best you could with what you had. But I need to understand my patterns so I do not repeat them. I liked that answer. It showed maturity, responsibility. My son was healing. In February, 6 months after the hearing, I decided to move into the apartment I had inherited. My rented apartment had served its purpose, but it was time to live in something that was truly mine. Michael and Sophia helped me with the move. It was a beautiful day, full of laughter, of hope. When we finished arranging the boxes, the three of us sat in my new living room. Sophia explored every corner, excited. "Grandma, you have a balcony. We can put plants out here. We can put whatever you want, my love." Michael looked at me with those eyes that now shone differently. Cleaner. More honest. "Mom, I want you to know something. These last few months have been the best of my adult life. Not because of material things, but because I finally feel free. I feel like myself. I am happy to hear that, son. And it is thanks to you. For not giving up on me, even though I gave you 1,000 reasons to." I smiled at him. True love does not give up, but it also does not let itself be destroyed. There is a balance. It took me 63 years to learn it. That night, after Michael and Sophia left, I stood on the balcony of my new home. The city glittered below. The lights twinkled like earthly stars. And for the first time in decades, I felt whole. Not because I had won against Amanda, but because I had won against my own fears. Against the habit of accepting crumbs when I deserved the whole feast. Against the idea that being a good mother meant disappearing as a person. It has been 2 years since that day Amanda showed up with her suitcases at my door. 2 years since I said those words that changed everything. "What do you mean?" "He did not tell you. I changed all the locks yesterday, and Michael does not live here anymore." Now, when I look back, I barely recognize the woman I was then. That Margaret who swallowed humiliations, who lived begging for scraps of love from her own son. That woman died, and in her place, someone stronger was born. My life now is quiet, beautifully quiet. I wake up every morning without the weight of anxiety on my chest. I drink my coffee on the balcony, watching the city wake up. I read the books I never had time to read. I go to painting classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I discovered I have a talent for landscapes. Who would have thought? At 65, I can still discover new things about myself. Michael lives in the apartment I gave him. He and Sophia have created a beautiful home together. He learned to cook, to braid Sophia's hair, to be the father she always needed. The girl is in therapy too, healing her own wounds. 3 months ago, she told me something that made me cry with happiness. "Grandma, when I grow up, I want to be like you, strong but kind, firm but loving." Amanda lives with her mother and her young son. From what I have heard through Sophia, she is working at a supermarket. She lost her job at the tech company when her reputation was destroyed. No one wants to hire someone who was publicly exposed for fraud and manipulation. She is trying to rebuild her life. I do not wish her ill, but I also do not care about her fate. She no longer takes up space in my mind. Sophia sees her mother every other weekend, as dictated by the shared custody. She always comes back quiet on those Sundays. Amanda tries to fill her head with her version of the story, but Sophia is old enough now to see the truth. "My mom says you destroyed our family," she told me once. "What do you think?" I asked her. Sophia thought about it seriously. "I think our family was broken long before you did anything, and that you just refused to break along with it." "Exactly. I just refused to keep breaking. And that is not destruction. It is survival. Amanda's baby is 1.5 now. He is a beautiful boy, according to the pictures Sophia shares. It makes me sad that he is growing up without a father, without Michael in his daily life. But Amanda refused any visitation agreement. She said Michael gave up his rights when he left her pregnant. Legally, it is not true, but Michael decided not to fight it for now. "He will grow up with poison in his ears about me," he told me. "When he is older, if he wants to know me, my doors will be open. But I am not going to force a relationship that his mother will constantly sabotage. It is a painful but wise decision. Sometimes love means letting go." My son finally learned that. 6 months ago, Michael met someone. Her name is Rachel. She is an elementary school teacher. Divorced, no kids. When he introduced her to me, he was nervous. "Mom, I want you to meet Rachel, but please, do not feel like you have to approve of her just because I am introducing you. I want your honest opinion." Rachel arrived with flowers and a genuine smile. Not the calculated smile of Amanda, but a real smile that reached her eyes. "Mrs. Miller, it is an honor to meet you. Michael talks about you all the time." We spent the afternoon chatting. Rachel asked me about my life, my paintings, my classes. Not just about Michael. She saw me as a person, as Margaret. Not just as her boyfriend's mother. When they left, Michael called me. "So, I like her," I said honestly. "But more importantly, you are happy." "Yes, Mom. For the first time in years, I am really happy. Rachel does not control me. She supports me. It is different. It is healthy." "Then that is all that matters." Michael was quiet for a moment. "Thank you for teaching me the difference between love and abuse. Without you, I would still be repeating the same cycle." Sophia adores Rachel. She finally has a mother figure who treats her with respect and affection. Amanda, of course, is furious. She tried to forbid Sophia from seeing Rachel. But Sophia is 14 years old now. The judge listened to her opinion. And Sophia was clear. "Rachel treats me better than my own mother. I am not going to stop seeing her." Amanda lost that battle too. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing, if I was too harsh, if I should have forgiven more easily. But then I remember how I used to feel, small, invisible, broken. And I know there is no forgiveness without justice. There is no reconciliation without accountability. Amanda never truly apologized. She never admitted her abuse. She only regretted being caught. The other day, I was at the supermarket and I saw her. Amanda. She was at the cash register, scanning items with a tired expression. Our eyes met for a second. I saw something in her eyes I did not expect. Shame. She looked away quickly. I continued on my way. I did not feel victorious. I did not feel pity. I just felt peace. Peace from having closed that chapter. My life now is about me, about my granddaughters, about my healed son, about the friends I have made in painting class, about Kiat Sundays reading on my balcony, about dinners with Michael, Sophia, and sometimes Rachel, about laughter without tension, about love without toxic conditions. This is the life I always deserved. It took me 63 years to claim it, but I finally have it. If I could talk to the Margaret from 2 years ago, to that scared woman who was about to lose everything, I would tell her, "Hold on, a storm is coming, but after the storm, peace comes. And that peace is worth every tear." I would also tell her, "Do not apologize for taking up space. Do not make yourself small so others can feel big. Your life has value. Your dignity is non-negotiable." And finally, I would tell her what I now know with absolute certainty. I do not regret raising him. I do not regret sacrificing so much. I only regret not understanding sooner that kindness should never be practiced at the cost of self-destruction, that loving does not mean disappearing, that being a mother does not mean ceasing to be a woman, that you can give your whole heart without losing your soul in the process. Today is Sunday. Michael and Sophia are coming over for dinner. We are going to make lasagna, her favorite. Rachel is bringing dessert. We will sit at my new table, in my light-filled dining room, and share stories and laughter. This is family. Not the one born of blood or marriage, but the one built on respect, healthy boundaries, and true love. Amanda still exists somewhere in this city, raising her son, working at that supermarket, living with her mother. But she is not my problem anymore. She no longer takes up my energy. I wish her peace. I wish her healing. I wish her to learn. But from a distance, a very long distance, my story is not one of revenge. It is one of boundaries, of awakening, of a woman who finally understood that saying no is an act of self-love, that defending yourself does not make you a bad person, that demanding respect is not selfishness, it is survival. And I survived. I did not just survive, I blossomed. At 65 years old, I am finally living, truly living. And that, after all, is the best revenge there is. Being happy.